Welcome, YouTubers, to another episode in my Grammar Hero series. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you the answers to the math knowledge subtest from an app I recently created called ASVABapp.com. On that website, you can take a 35-question test that will roughly predict your AFQT score. In order to get the most out of this video, I strongly encourage you, one, either to go to ASVABapp.com and take the practice test there, or two, if you don't want to go to that website, just go ahead and pause this video after I read each question. Try to work out the question on your own, and then resume playing the video to check your solution. As a reminder, you're not allowed to use a calculator or a reference sheet on the ASVAB, so as you take this practice test, try not to use any of those resources. Finally, I want to mention that in the description of this video, there's going to be links that correspond to each of these questions. So if at any point you get stuck on a question, go ahead and look in the description, and there you'll find additional resources. So all those things being said, let's go ahead and get started with today's practice test. Question 11, which is the same order that's on the website. So this is question 11 on ASVABapp.com. Says, if a right triangle has legs that measure 3 feet and 4 feet, then how long is its hypotenuse? So since we're going to have scratch paper on the ASVAB, it might be helpful to sketch this one out very quickly. Again, a right triangle kind of looks like this. And of course, you can identify the parts of a right triangle like this. The hypotenuse is always directly across from the right angle. So in this case, this side is directly across from the right angle, so we know this is our hypotenuse. And anything in a right triangle that's not the hypotenuse are its legs. Okay? Now, in order to answer this question, we also have to know the Pythagorean Theorem, which says a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A and B, of course, refer to the legs of the right triangle, whereas C refers to its hypotenuse. So again, we know this is the hypotenuse, so let's go ahead and label that as C. And again, we know A and B refer to the legs, so we're going to call this one 4 and 3 feet respectively. And those are interchangeable. You can put 3 here or 4 here, it really doesn't matter. But that said, we know what the two legs are, and the way the Pythagorean theorem works is like this. If you're given any two parts of the Pythagorean theorem, you can find the third missing part. So if you're given A and B, you can find C. If you're given B and C, you can find A. If you're given A and C, you can find B. So again, we know what A and B are, so let's plug them into the Pythagorean theorem. We're going to let A be 4, so this is 4 squared, plus b, which we're going to let be 3, equals 3 squared. This all equals c squared. Again, let's just work this out. 4 squared is 16, plus 3 squared, which is 9, equals c squared. Okay, let's go ahead, and before we do anything else, let's combine these two. 16 plus 9 is 25, so we know we have 25 equals c squared. In order to get rid of this square and the exponent, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to take the square root of c, and what we do to that side, we're going to do to this other side. This is going to cross out, just leaving you with c on this side. This says c equals the square root of 25. We should all know that the square root of 25 is 5. And in math, it's customary to write the variable for which you solved on the left. So this is c equals 5. In other words, the hypotenuse, which is c, is 5 feet, which we can see is A. Again, you're going to have to know the Pythagorean theorem for the ASVAB. You will see it at least once. That's guaranteed. All right, let's go ahead and move on to number 12. It says completely factor x squared plus 7x plus 10. Again, you're going to see questions that involve factoring on the mathematics knowledge subtest of the ASVAB. Thankfully enough, I do have videos on this topic, and in addition to those videos, I recently posted a reference sheet in the community tab of my channel, and a whole page of that reference sheet covers how to factor. So if you don't follow what I do here, watch that video I created on factoring and take a look at the reference sheet. That said, this one's pretty easy to factor. I'm going to start by writing it off to the side. So we have x squared plus 7x plus 10. Again, since there's a leading coefficient here of 1, we know we can factor this if it's factorable like this, x and x. So now we're just looking to fill in these two spots right here. And more specifically, we want to find two terms that are multiply to 10 and add to 7. So I know 5 times 2 is 10, and 5 plus 2 is 7. So those are going to be our two terms. So I'm going to do x plus 5, x plus 2, and we are done with this one. Now in math, it's customary to arrange these such that you have the smallest variable in front. So we're going to do x plus 2 and x plus 5, which we can see is answer choice B. Again, you're going to have to know how to factor on the ASVAB. Another approach you could have taken, especially if this was much more complicated, like 3x squared plus 30x plus 50. Let's say that was an example. Another approach you can take is simply to FOIL all of your answer choices, which is something I would do if the factoring looks like it's going to be too tedious. So you could have taken this x plus 2 times this x plus 5 and just FOILed it out, and you would get this as your answer. So just bear in mind that these are pretty easy to do because you can either factor it if you're good at factoring, or you can use the answer choices to try to match the original equation. It's really up to you, and it really depends on how difficult of a factoring problem you have to work with. So it really depends on those things. You will see a question like this one on the ASVAB. It says, what term comes next in the sequence? For some reason, some people can either do these very quickly or it takes them a while to get it. But we're looking to unlock the pattern that gets us from term to term in this sequence. I know to go from 2 to 4, we multiply by 2. To go from 4 to 12, we multiply by 3. To go from 12 to 48, we multiply by 4. And to go from 48 to this missing term, we can see that the pattern is multiply by one integer greater. So this is going to be multiplied by 2, multiplied by 3, multiplied by 4, multiplied by 5. So this, in other words, is 48 times 5. 5 times 8 is 40, so we're going to carry a 4. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 4 is 24. So 48 times 5, as we can see, is 240, which we know is the next term in that sequence. All right, number 14 says, what does 17 over 20 plus 6 over 100 plus 15 over 50 equal? Again, this is a problem involving the addition of fractions. So let's start by writing it off to the side. And then we'll go from there. All right, so in order to add fractions, they all have to have the same denominator. In this case, we can see we have denominators of 20, 100, and 50, so we can't just add them right yet. So what we have to do is rewrite either one or all of these fractions such that they do have the same denominators. In this case, it's pretty clear that 20 and 50 are factors of 100. So it's not going to be too difficult to rewrite 17 over 20 as well as 15 over 50 to be over 100 as well. So let's go ahead and work on doing that. And again, you might not see that right away, so just think your way through it. All right, and again, we're rewriting these fractions such that they're over 100. 6 is already over 100, so we're just going to copy that one straight down. Now, in order to make 20 100, we have to multiply it by 5. given that 20 times 5 is 100. That said, we're also going to have to do that to this numerator. So that's going to be 17 times 5 as well. 7 times 5 is 35, carry your 3. 1 times 5 is 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is 85 over 100. Now let's do the same thing with 15 over 50. Again, to make 50, 100, we multiply it by 2. And again, we're going to have to do that to the numerator. 15 times 2 is 30. All right, now we have all these fractions with the same denominator. Now that we have all these fractions with the same denominator, we can go ahead and add the numerator. So this is going to look like this. I'm going to make it into one big fraction. It's going to be 85 plus 6 plus 30. And it's really up to you as to how you want to solve this addition in the numerator. I know 6 plus 30 is 36, so off to the side, I'm going to do 85 plus 36. 5 plus 6 is 11, so we're going to carry a 1. 8 plus 3 is 11, plus 1 is 12. So we can see this becomes 121 over 100. And that, thankfully enough, is an answer choice. Okay, so just bear in mind that when you're working with fractions, they might give you the fraction as it is, or they might reduce it. For example, this can be written as 1.21 as a decimal as well, so that might have been an answer choice that we had to look for. So just bear in mind that once you get to this point, you may have to simplify this further to find the right answer choice. All right, number 15 says find the mean, median, mode, and range of the following. It's 15, 20, 50, 50, 65, and 100. And it looks as if our answer choices are in the same order that the question's asking. We're going to assume this is the mean, that's the median, that's the mode, and that's the range. So it's really up to you as to how you approach these. Generally, I just work them out in the order that's given because answers might not be as obvious as this one. So that said, to find the median, or the mean, sorry about that, to find the mean of any data set, we take the sum of all the numbers in the data set. So I'm going to call this sum of all the numbers. And then we divide by how many numbers there are. So that looks like this. 15 plus 20 plus 50 plus 50 plus 65 plus 100. And if we count those up, we can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers in this data set. So let's go ahead and add these up. I'm going to add these vertically so as not to make any mistakes. And we have 100, 65, 50, 50, 20, and 15. So let's go ahead and get started. We have in this column 5 plus 5, which is 10. So we're going to drop down a 0 and carry a 1. Then we have 2 plus 1, which is 3. 5 plus 5 is 10, so this is 13. 13 plus 6 is 19. Plus 1 is 20, so we're going to drop down a 0 and carry a 2. 2 plus 1 is 3, so we can see this becomes 300 over 6. Now, this fraction can be regarded as long division. Instead of reading this as 300 over 6, we can also read it as 300 divided by 6. And this math, it turns out, is pretty easy to do. We have 300 divided by 6. 6 doesn't go into 3. 6 goes into 30 5 times evenly, given that 6 times 5 is 30. Therefore, I know 50 times 6 is going to be 300 with no remainder. So in other words, the mean in this case is going to be 50. The median is just the middle number. So the way I find that is I line these up from least to greatest. And thankfully enough, they're already given in terms of least to greatest. Then you just start crossing them off one by one at the ends until you get to the middle term or terms. So we're going to cross one off at that end, that end, that end, and that end. Now, when you have two terms in the middle, you have to find the average of them. And to find the average, we're just going to do 50 plus 50 divided by 2. 50 plus 50 is 100, divided by 2 is 50. So we know the median is 50. The mode is the number that appears most frequently in the data set. And in this case, if we look through our data set one more time, we can see that whereas all the other terms appear once, 50 appears twice. So we know our mode is 50. And then finally, the range is the biggest number in your data set minus the smallest number in your data set. So clearly the biggest number is 100. The smallest number is 15. 100 minus 15 is 85. So we can see the correct answer to this one is, in fact, A. Okay. All right, number 16 says express 0.0000125 in scientific notation. And those are exponents, so don't get confused by that. When we're expressing something in scientific notation, it's always going to be in this form. It's always going to have a number, dot, at least 2 decimal places. So if we look through our answer choices, we can see that this is 12 point something. That's not the correct form, so right away we can eliminate that. And if we look at this one, we can see it's 125, which is not of this form, so we can eliminate that right off the bat as well. Okay, so we only have 2 answer choices left, and they're pretty close, so we're going to have to work this one out. We have 0.0000125. And our goal is to rewrite this in this form. So it's going to look like this. 1.25 times 10 to the some odd power there. Now, when you're writing very small numbers in scientific notation, you have to realize that your exponent is negative, and 0.0000125 is a very small number, so we know the exponent is going to be negative. And more specifically, we're going to write this exponent, this exponent is going to tell us how many times we have to move this decimal place here to make this number match this number. So let's see what that looks like. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, and since it took us 6 moves to move this decimal from here to here, we know that this is going to be -6, which is C. Again, I have a video on scientific notation if you want to watch it. But again, these are pretty straightforward. All right, number 17 says solve the following system of equations. We have 2x plus y equals 9 and 3x minus y equals 16. So I'm going to start by writing this off to the side. We have 2x plus y equals 9 and 3x minus y equals 16. All right, when you're solving a system of equations, there are a few methods you can use to solve these. You can use a matrix, which most people don't learn about until college, or you can use the elimination or substitution method. The elimination method says multiply one of the equations by a number that when you add those two equations, it's going to eliminate one of the variables. In this case, we should see that just by adding this top equation to this second equation, we're going to eliminate the variable y. So let's go ahead and do that. So this becomes 2x plus 3x, which is 5x. Y minus y is nothing. And 9 plus 16 is going to be 25. All right, so now let's just solve for x. Divide both sides by 5. This crosses out and leaves you with x equals 25 over 5, which is just 5. Okay, so if we look at our solutions, we see that it's given in terms of an ordered pair. In an ordered pair, we have x, y. We know what x is already. X is 1 here, 2 here, 2 here and 5 here. So without doing too much more work, we can confidently say our answer is going to be 5, -1. That said, let's go ahead and work this out further. Once you solve for one of the variables, you take it and you plug it into either of the original equations. So I'm going to take this 5x, I'm going to plug it in for x in this top equation. So this is going to be 2 times 5 plus y equals 9. And by solving this, we'll be able to figure out what y is. So this becomes 10 plus y equals 9. Subtract 10 from both sides to get y by itself. This crosses out, leaving you with y equals 9 minus 10, which is -1. And of course, if we want to express this as an ordered pair, it would be 5, -1, which is answer choice D. Okay, you will see a system of equations on the ASVAB, and I do have videos. I think I have 3 videos in which I show you how to solve systems of equations. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to this next one. It says find the area of a circle that has a radius of 20 centimeters. So to start, I'm going to make a little sketch here. And the radius is defined as a point or a line or a ray that goes from the center point of a circle to the edge of a circle. So we're going to call this 20 centimeters right here. In addition to knowing what the radius refers to, we also have to know what the formula is for the area of a circle. Area of a circle is given by area equals pi r squared, where r refers to the radius, which is right there. And pi, since we're working out this question by hand, is always going to be 3.14 for the ASVAB. Sometimes they'll make you use the fact that pi is also equivalent to 22/7 for the problems, especially if you're going to score high in the ASVAB. So just bear in mind that for the ASVAB, pi is either going to be 3.14 or 22/7. So let's go ahead and plug those things into this equation. Again, we know pi is equivalent to 3.14, so in place of 3.14, or in place of pi, I'm going to put 3.14. In place of r for radius, I'm going to put 20. Of course, this is squared. On the reference sheet that I posted in the community tab of my channel, I mentioned that you should know your squares all the way up to 20. 20 squared is 400, so this becomes 3.14 times 400. And if you didn't know that, you can work that out by doing 20 by 20. Again, I'm not going to do that. You should know your perfect squares. It's going to help you work more quickly through this test. Now to get the answer, all we have to do is multiply 3.14 by 400, and I will work that off to the side since it's not that obvious. Again, we have 400 times 3.14. As you can see, we're multiplying a whole number, notably 400, by a decimal, notably 3.14. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift this decimal 2 times to the right to make 3.14 314. So this is going to become 400 times 314 with no decimals. And at the very end of this problem, I'm going to take those 2 decimals that I shifted to the right here and shift them back in to the left. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's go ahead and work this out. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 4 is 16. Before we start multiplication with this 1, we have to bring in a 0 placeholder. Now we have 1 times 0, which is 0, 1 times 0, which is 0, and 1 times 4, which is 4. And before we start multiplication with this 3 now, we have to bring in 2 placeholders. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 4 is 12. Or 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, let's go ahead and add these up. And when you multiply 3-digit integers by 3-digit integers, It's easy to make mistakes like that, so take your time. So we have 0 plus 0 plus 0, 0 plus 0 plus 0, 6 plus 0 plus 0, which is just 6, 1 plus 4, which is 5, 2 plus nothing is just 2, 1 plus nothing is 1. Bring our two decimals back in, 1, 2. So we can see the area is 1256 centimeters squared since it's referring to area, which is C. Okay? So a lot of information you had to know to solve this one. Again, you had to know what the radius meant. You had to know the area, the formula to find the area of a circle. You had to realize that since you're doing this work by hand, pi is going to be 3.14 or 22 over 7. And then you had to be able to work out multiplication involving 3-digit integers and decimals. Okay, so that was that one. All right, for number 19, it says, what is the surface area of a rectangular prism with a length of 5 inches, a width of 2 inches, and a height of 6 inches? Again, we have scratch paper, so let's make a little diagram. We have a rectangular prism, which kind of looks like this. And we know it's going to be three-dimensional. Most prisms are three-dimensional. And we're told it has a length of 5 inches, so we know this is 5, a width of 2 inches, so the width is 2, and a height of 6. Okay, so I do not memorize the formula to find the surface area of rectangular prisms. All you have to realize is surface area is finding the area of each of the faces of the shape. And in a rectangular prism, you have 6 faces, 3 of which mirror each other. You have this front face, this back face, which mirror each other, this bottom face and this top face mirror each other, and this left face and this right face mirror each other. What's more, you have to realize that to find the area of each of these square faces, all you're doing is multiplying all these numbers together. So for example, let's say we're working on this front face right here. Again, there's 2 of them. There's a front and a back. So I know there's going to be 2 of them. And to find the area of this front one, we know this is 5 since that's the length of this rectangular prism. And this is the height of the prism, so this is going to be 6. So this is 6 times 5. All right, let's go ahead and work on finding the area of the floor and the ceiling. Again, there's a floor and a ceiling, so we know there's going to be 2 of them. And let's see if I can draw this. Let's say we're looking top down at this. Again, we know the length of this ceiling right here is going to be 5. And we know its width is right here, which is 2. So this is 5 times 2. And then all we do is have to find the area of the left and right sides, which kind of look like this. And again, we know the height of this side, that's 6, and we know its width, which is 2. So this is going to be 2 times 6 times 2, since there are 2 faces. So with that logic in mind, now it's just a matter of doing some simple math here. Again, this is going to become surface area equals, and let's work out what's in parentheses first so as not to make this too much harder. We have 2, 6 times 5 is 30, plus 2, 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2, 6 times 2 is 12. All right, now let's work out these 2's. 2 times 30 is 60, plus 2 times 10, which is 20, plus 2 times 12, which is 24. Let's go ahead and keep working this out. This is 60, plus 20 and 24 is 44. 60 and 44 is, well, 60 plus 40 would be 100, plus 4 more would be 104. Okay, so we know the surface area of this rectangular prism is going to be 104 inches squared. Okay, so that's that one. Again, on my reference sheet, I do have this formula written out, But again, you're just finding the area of all the faces of the prism, which are length times width. There's 2 faces each, so we multiply those by 2, and we just add them all together. Nothing too difficult there. All right, let's work on number 20. It says if 2 angles are supplementary and one of the angles is 36 degrees less than twice the other angle, how many degrees is each angle? So for this one, we do have to know what the word supplementary means. Supplementary means that 2 angles add to 180 degrees. So angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 180 degrees. All right, so, and according to this problem, we know some characteristics of angle 1 and angle 2. More specifically, we know one of the angles is 36 degrees less than twice the other angle. So if I let one angle be x, I know the other angle is 36 degrees less than twice the other angle, which is 2x minus 36. So we know that angle 1 plus angle 2 can be represented by x, referring to angle 1, and 2x minus 36, referring to angle 2. And since they're supplementary, we know they add to 180 degrees. Now let's combine like terms, notably x and 2x. So this becomes 3x minus 36 equals 180 degrees. Let's go ahead and add 36 to both sides to get rid of it on this side, which will leave us with just 3x over here. And let's work this out real quick. 0 plus 6 is 6. 8 plus 3, 8, 9, 10, 11. So bring down a 1, carry a 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So now we can see we have 3x equals 216. Divide both sides by 3. This crosses out, leaving you with 3x equals 216 over 3. Again, you can do this as long division, or you can break this apart in 2 parts. 21 divided by 3 is 7, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So I know 216 divided by 3 is 72. And again, let's take a look right here. We have angle 1 refers to x. So I know angle 1 is 72 degrees. And let's go ahead and figure out what the other angle is. Again, to find the other angle, we're just going to take 180 subtracted by 72. 0 minus 2 we can't do, so we're going to have to borrow. This is going to become 7. This is going to become 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. 7 minus 7 is 0. 1 minus nothing is 1. So again, angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 180. We figured out x refers to angle 1, so that's 72 plus 108 equals 180. So our 2 angles are 72 and 108, which is B. Okay, this is the final question in this video. It says write an equation of a line given that one point on the line is 1, 6 and the other point on the line is 3, 2. So there are a few ways to write equations of lines. The very first thing you have to do is to find the slope. And then once you find the slope, you're going to plug that into the point slope equation, which is this. Y minus y1 equals m. Let me fix that real quick. M times x minus x1. Y1 and x1 refer to one of these ordered pairs, and m refers to the slope, which we need to find to use this formula. So again, to find the slope, or m, we have to know this formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And again, you might be saying, what is y1, y2, x1, and x2? Those are simply the ordered pair. So let me go ahead and illustrate that. Okay, we have one ordered pair, 1, 6, and another ordered pair, 3, 2. In ordered pairs, you always have pairs x, y. So I'm going to call this one x1, y1, I'm going to call this one x2, y2. So now you can see that y2 corresponds with 2, y1 corresponds with 6, x2 corresponds with 3, x1 corresponds with 1. So let's go ahead and plug those in now. Again, y2 is 2 minus y1, which is 6. X2 is 3 minus x1, which is 1. Let's keep working this out. 2 minus 6 is going to be negative 4. And 3 minus 1 is 2. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Okay, so we know our slope is negative 2. These answers are given in terms of slope-intercept equation, of the slope-intercept equation. So this is our slope right here in all of these. And we know our slope's negative 2. So right away, I know this number in front of this x has to be negative 2. That's 9, that's 2, that's positive 2. So those aren't the answers. I know that the only other answer choice that makes sense is A. That said, I'm going to work this out just to show you how to do it, because chances are it's not going to be that easy. Again, we know what y1 and x1 are. They refer to our ordered pairs. So let's just plug those in here now. We have y minus y1, which is going to be 6, equals m. We know m refers to the slope, which is negative 2, times x. Again, we're just copying down x, minus x1. x1 is right here. It's 1. Let's go ahead and work this out. This is y minus 6 equals, and before we do anything else, let's take this 2 and distribute it here as well as here. This becomes negative 2 times x, which is negative 2x. And then we have negative 2 times negative 1, which is positive 2. And then we have y minus 6 equals negative 2x plus 2. Sorry about that. I paused there because my phone was ringing. So now we have this equation to solve. Again, we want to solve for y as it is over here. So to do that, I'm just going to add 6 to both sides. This will cross out here, leaving me with y equals negative 2x. 2 plus 6 is 8. As we can see, that is exactly what A says. So that is it for this practice test. Again, I'm just showing you the answers from ASVABapp.com. I hope you found this video helpful. You're more than welcome to leave feedback in the comment section below. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and cut you loose. Konnichiwa.